Well, welcome back, friends. I am the Watcher, and today I'm not dressed like Will Smith. I'm dressed like the Spirit. Who is the Spirit? Well, that's a question I intend to answer today. Now, trigger warnings, just right at the start of this video. This is a very old comic. I believe it came out 1940. It'll say when we get to the book. So, of course, it has some very outdated depictions of certain minority groups in there. In this particular issue, it does have one rather racist depiction of a black person. That's really it for this one today, but, some of the ones in the future, they have, I may have peeked ahead a bit, and there's some racist drawings of Asians, too. I mean, it's just got all of them. The thing is, too, it's so nonchalant. It's not like a focus or butt of a joke or even a main character or anything. It's literally just like a background element, like okay, that's literally what you thought. But this one actually does not have really any negative language towards other races or racial slurs or anything in it like that. It's more so just very, very what we would call racially charged depiction. So of course, as always, I'd understand if you want to skip this one and you want to come back next week. I'll be doing the 4th release in the Team America series. This issue, Wolf alone confronts the arcade assassins. I'm sure that's going to be a hoot and a half. I mean, those are always really funny. This is actually pretty good too. So without eating up any more of your time in this intro, let's get to the comic. Welcome to the main segment. So, the Spirit. A few things you'll notice off the bat. I love this cover. The gold with the black. Just the contrast of the colors. Him just smacking that guy like you know what this is about instantly looking at it. Now, this is by Will Eisner. Very famous comic book artist. One thing that stood out to me, at least right away, about his signature is it kind of reminds me a lot of Walt Disney. The main difference I see, though, is the circles. They're just normal circles. You know, Disney does that. It's kind of like an eye. It looks weird. But it's kind of reminiscent of the Walt Disney signature. The back's pretty good too, and you have this color panel, and I wonder if there's color ones, because if so, I want some. This one, of course, the whole comic's going to be black and white. I think this is actually the first black and white comic I've done on the channel since the first comic I did on the channel. That was more of an artistic choice, though. And you have this guy with, that's not a pineapple. That's actually a really fat grenade, if that's a grenade. It's got like a proto-mullet. Oh, here you go. There's a sidekick, Ebony. He's like, the Spirit, Ebony White, what are you doing here? Just pops out of the ground, smoke and all. Kitchen sink press. Huh, I didn't notice that before. A little quote from Will Eisner. Even when I was a young child, the comics spoke to me. When I was growing up, I tried my hand at all different sorts of art, but it always came back to comics. I wanted to tell stories, Will Eisner. And I gotta tell you, I can relate to that very heavily. I have the same thing with my own art. I was taught to draw and to paint in a classical manner, to do realistic portraits and landscapes, and I enjoy drawing cartoons. You open it up, and you have this letter in the front. It will continue on page 8, but like every story starts with part of this letter, so I'm going to save that for each episode. Kind of how they're meant to be viewed in the comic with each story. You might want to skip forward a bit if you don't want to hear this, but I think it's kind of pertinent. It really touched me when I read it. And I feel like normally this is the kind of stuff I'd skip over. I'd be like, I want the story, but one thing about doing this channel, I kind of have to examine everything in there, to properly present it to you. And I feel it adds like a bit more deepness to it. So, Wildwood News. That's where the Spirit lives. Now look at him, he's like, is this what I looked like pre-World War II? It just says pre-War II. Oh, that's cool. This what I looked like pre-War II? Well, FIFA says you never look better than in those days. I wonder if that's Eisner, if that's like a little self-portrait from the back. I'm gonna look up what he looks like and pop it on screen now, and we can judge. He kind of drew himself, I mean, from the back like a thinner Kevin from The Office, you know. It's kind of what Kevin would do too, just sitting on a stack of papers. Oh, look, 1992. This was drawn. Yeah, Will Eisner. So I guess that is a self-portrait. That's cool. You know, you see this in the comics a lot. Is a lot of these self-portraits with the character. This is the first one I'm aware of where you don't see the artist in the self-portrait. Oh, wow, this part's funny. So they got some credits right here. Down here at the bottom, there's a funny little thing. We thank Steve Geppy and John Benson for loaning copies of The Spirit to us for the production of this book. So, that makes it sound like they literally took old comics and Xeroxed them and put them in this book. I guess that's how they got them. You can notice the size is a bit different too. Like this, standard comic size. But, you know, this, when it was coming out, comics were in quite a few different sizes. I mean, you still get that a bit today. I can tell you, as someone fitting the comics into the binders, they are all slightly different. And then sometimes they do those little tiny ones. I'm like, do I put you in a binder? Where do I put you? And I end up putting it on the big stacks of the collection ones. You know, the ones that'll be like, oh, the first 6 issues of Ironheart. So, the real beginning. And you have that same quote from the back. I'm not going to waste your time reading that again. So, the years in which Will Eisner grew up were formative ones for comics. Born March 6, 1917, in New York City, Eisner read newspaper comic strips as a boy, which had by that time been a popular form of entertainment for some years. When Eisner began following the funnies, many of what are now considered the classics of Golden Age had not yet debuted, and the term comic book, which would ultimately play such a momentous role in his life, had not yet been coined. By the time I was 8, I was drawing, Eisner said recently. It was something my father encouraged me to do, because he was something of an artist, a failed artist, if you will. But he always thought highly of art and wanted to see me pursue it. My father used to reminisce that I was 8 when I began drawing all the time, and I would always use my drawing to tell stories. For Eisner's mother, however, the only good art was art that had market potential. When Eisner discusses his parents, it becomes apparent where his own duality originates. His father, born in Vienna, was a man who valued creativity and art, and who himself plied his trade as a backdrop. I don't think I've ever seen that word before, plied. I wonder if that's a misspelling. I'm going to look that up. Put it on the screen. The more you know. Oh, plied his trade as a backdrop painter for vaudeville and the Jewish theater. Yeah, so Eisner, he was Jewish. His mother, conceived in Romania and born on the boat that brought her to America, was a pragmatic, down-to-earth woman who fretted that her eldest son would forfeit himself away. He was simply being quactic. I'm on another word I gotta look up and put on the screen. I hope this isn't like Golai. And you know what? I'll stop bringing that up when I stop misreading things. Simply being aquatic and had been brought back to his senses. Her question was how to dissuade young Willie from art. Eisner is truly his parents' child. One part hard-nosed businessman and one part introverted dreamer. Although my father was not what you or I would call literate in any popular sense, he was literate in his own way, Eisner said. He used to buy books because he appreciated the classics, and through that I got early exposure to the classics, for which I eventually became very grateful. One of his best-loved books was a biography of Julius Caesar, and for that book I did a drawing of Brutus murdering Caesar. Brutal, but also very much like a young boy. It was crude and gory, but my father really was proud. To Eisner's mother, making a career from art was unimaginable. It was my mother who was the level-headed one in the family. My father was a dreamer, and was always getting into some scheme or... And it says continues on page 8. So we're going to save that for the next issue, and let's get to the spirit. And I love pictures like this. You know, I did some art for Kangas Crew one time, and I kind of did something similar to this with the city in the backdrop. If I can find that, I'll put it up on the screen right now. Okay, so. But yeah, I really love that kind of perspective, you know. Originally published June 2nd, 1940. And that's one thing. If there's something you heavily disagree with in here, you know, I can't blame you for being offended. But I would like to just say to take a moment to think about how much things have changed since then. And how, in a way, this is kind of a reflection of the mind of the people at the time. Because, to me, it seems like the context it's done in here, the things that we would now consider offensive, weren't done, at least in this issue, in a hateful or ill-intended way. It just seemed like something that was so common, it was just completely mundane to the author. So you start off with Commissioner Doland here. Good evening, Commissioner Doland. May I come in? He's like, Denny Colt, haven't I had enough trouble? He's like, bet a nickel I know who you're thinking about. And, you know, I'm going to just look at this guy's face. He's got... Normally they draw villains like that, but no, he's a good guy. He's got that bird nose, that big chin. Oh, that's funny. He actually gives him a nickel. I didn't notice that when I first read it. I was kind of more focused right here where it's faded out. And I guess that's a side effect of the copying. Oh, he's blowing smoke rings. That's what he's doing because he's smoking. That's cool. So he's like, you're right. Here's your nickel. It's Dr. Cobra. Thank you. So Dr. Cobra has escaped again? Why don't you build stronger gels? And he's being kind of pompous, being kind of, what's the word? Cocky. Oh, well, I suppose I, Denny Colt, criminologist and private detective, will have to aid you again. I know where Cobra is. And he's like, huh? And he starts pushing him out, and he's like, what? Then what are you standing around for? Come on. And he's like, wait a minute, hold on. I want that reward, Dolan. So if you'll give me an hour head start, I'll get him for you. Fine, kid, okay. Take it easy. He's a cunning old bird. And this guy's kind of the one that looks like a bird himself. So, yeah, so this is a police commissioner, and Colt here, he's a private dick. So it's a bounty system, you know. He wants the bounty for himself. So he don't want the police to go with him. But, you know, not going with backup might be a bad idea. So yeah, this creepy looking Chinatown area. And I mean, man, I wish this was in color. I really hope some of the later ones are in color, because I've seen some of the colored art, and I just love that noir-y. I'm sure I'm not the only kid that grew up watching Cowboy Bebop, you know, and I think that's why I love this stuff. Like, I know it's like a weird sci-fi thing, but it stepped me into a world of jazz and noir and just the feel, you know. So, somewhere in the crooked, narrow alleys that thread like gray vines through the dark heart of Chinatown, a figure darts from shadow to shadow. You can kind of see him there. A lot of cross-hatching. A lot of really thick cross-hatching. Maybe should have just brushed it at that point. So down through a manhole and a gutter, and at last, more chlorine, Ling. Hurry, it's ready. Ha ha ha! And you have this evil doctor with this big vat of chemical-y stuff. And the spirit walks in, gun in hand. The game's up, Dr. Cobra. I'm taking you in. He's like, Denny Colt. And I was actually surprised right here that, because I'm pretty sure Dr. Cobra is supposed to be Asian. And his sidekick's Asian. They're not drawn very stereotypically at all. And it's funny because, again, I poked forward a bit in here before. And there are indeed some very racist drawings of Asian people in the other issues. But this one, it seems pretty laid back. It kind of makes it more surprising when you get them later on. But yeah, so he's got this giant bauble here. just full of, I don't know, I know there's chlorine in it. It starts spouting out. He's like, Denny Colt, always the police interfere with my experiments. Someday they will bow down before me. He's like, calm down. You look how much taller he is than him. He's like to his chin. He's like, calm down. I got a gun on you. This guy's coming down. He just jumps down with a knife. And it's like, suddenly. And Colt just, boom, slug to the face. And that's where you see his real superpower is punching people in the face. And this guy's literally flying at him with a knife. He's just like, boom, down on the ground. But Dr. Cobra jumps on his back. With the speed of a panther, Dr. Cobra leaps. Claw-like fingers close around Denny's face. Off balance, he's hurled against the wall. He fires blindly. Pap, 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 pap. Smashing the vat of liquid, and whoosh, it spills out. With a deafening hiss, the liquid gushes out in an exploding stream. Denny is caught in it. Instinctually, he throws his hand over his face. Yeah, he's all washed out there. This guy, you know, he's dragging his assistant, which, good on him actually helping his assistant. You don't see that enough with villains. Drenched in the liquid, Denny sinks into the floor. Dr. Cobra drags his aide out through the secret passage. And behind them, dimly outlined by the strange light cast by the equally strange chemical, the body of Denny Colt lies rigid, unmoving. A few minutes later, a siren shatters the quiet of the night as Dolan and his men arrive on the scene. Hurry up, you men! Denny may be in trouble! They get in there. Oh, look at him with his pipe in his face. There's been a scrap, look! That's Denny lying in a pool of water. Dead. Get the coroner, Kelly. Man, I really love this guy's art style. I mean, just like, it's so expressive. It's so detailed, and it's... You don't get cartoons like this anymore. I mean, like, look at that. Look at just how he conveys lighting and whatnot. So simply. All he has is ink and paper. I mean, like, here, on Dr. Cobra's hair, like, the texturing. Colt's eyebrows, you know, the stippling on his jacket, I mean, you actually get the sense that that's thick. That's a huge, thick piece of material, you know? For what was probably like a 10-cent funny book back in the day. I'll look up the price and put it here, but just... It's beautiful, man. I don't feel like you get this anymore. You don't get this anymore. So Coroner Kelly, he's like, this man's dead, alright. Rigor mortis has already set in. I'd call it heart failure. No serious wounds. Heart failure don't seem right. No. He was a great kid. I liked him. Yeah, so they have the funeral for Denny Colt. They bury him. The following night in a suburban cemetery, a fantastic sight meets the eye. And you see a man crawling out of a grave. 1 hour later at the police headquarters in Commissioner Dolan's office, and this is very like Batman-esque right here. Him coming in the commissioner's window, him being in the shadows, him being just mysterious and like, who are you? Hey, how'd you get in here? Keep your seat, Commissioner, and I'll do the talking. Don't reach for that gun. That's right, just sit back and listen. So he's gone, you know, he was so cheerful, and now he's, well, you know, setting up like, yo, you don't know who this is. But come on, we all know who it is. It's Batman! Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Now then, there's a big reward out for the capture of Dr. Cobra. I've come to claim it. Have the money here, and I'll deliver Cobra in 3 hours. Yeah, that just happened. Come out of the shadows. And he's like, and let you see my face? Hardly. But for identification, you might call me the Spirit. Look, he's got a gun pointed at him, too. The Spirit leaves as quickly and as silently as he came. The Spirit, huh? That voice. Say, Joe, get Happy the coroner in here. I just love how he drew. Like look at these guys. I mean, they're like some eccentric old men, but I don't know, like, that's very cartoonish, but it's also believable. You know, like, all these people you feel exist in the same space. He's like, Happy, you sure Denny Colt was dead? Sure. Look here, Dolan. I've been pronouncing deaths for 9 on 20 years. Reckon I know a dead man when I see one. I tell you, O'Rourke, the old man's been touched ever since Denny Colt died. Yeah, that guy, it's a big cop. It's a big boy. A few minutes later, Dolan is in the street. Cabby? And so this is the only real racist depiction I've seen in this issue. It's this black guy driving a cab, and he's like, Wildwood Center, hurry, official business. I'm going to visit a dead friend. He's like, yes, sir. And that's actually how they wrote it. They wrote it, yes, sir. And I mean, you know, that's the thing, is like the more racist the drawing, the more cartoony it is. Like, just the difference in the eyes. Like, look how detailed that is. I mean, he's got stippling, he's got pupils, he's got normal proportioned eyes, and then look at that. This big old, like, cartoony Mickey Mouse eyes, like, more round features. Just, it's completely... I say this a lot. It's like, it's non-human. Like, when have you seen someone that looks like that? And I guess that's kind of the point, is it's like a hyper fixation. But, I don't know, it's kind of silly. And it also, I mean, I've seen a few characters drawn like that, and it gets kind of confusing. Because they make a lot of people look alike when they draw them all like that, you know? At the Wildwood grave, 2 men trudge fearfully across the moonlit path. When'd you get the message, Pokey? Hour ago, Gimp. I'm scared. A guy slipped this into my hand. A tiny tombstone. And it's just like, I guess that's like his business card. He already has a bunch of these too. It's not even like a card. It's like a little 3D thing. He has a bunch of these little tombstones. I mean, it's not weird that he has guns already. You know, you could get a gun really easy back then. That guy didn't try to shoot Reagan, so, you know, there was no Brady Bill. He's like, put up your hands. This is the spirit. So they're like, what do you want? And he's like, get in that tomb, I'll tell you later. And Dolan's there watching. So this is what I like about the spirit, is he does have a gun, and he does use it, like, as an intimidation factor. But when it comes down to it, so far, he's pretty much punched people. Although the only time he did use his gun, he was kind of overwhelmed. He fired without seeing, and, made the situation worse. So the spirit follows him into a half-lit tomb. He does not notice another figure slip in silently behind him. I am the spirit of good, but I can also be the spirit of evil, so tell me, where is Dr. Cobra hiding? And they're like, I don't know, I swear I don't. I don't know, honest. And he grabs one of them by the collar. What is that one's name? Gimp? You're lying, both of you. Now listen to me, you rats. When the clock strikes 12, the spirit will get Dr. Cobra, wherever he is. Now beat it. See, it just kind of like scares him and throws him off, and he's laughing. Ha ha ha, look at him run. And then, Denny, I like how it's just a pipe. That's how they signal he's there. What's your game, spirit? And he turns around, and he's like, Denny Colt, alive? Which, he has a mask in the later ones, but he doesn't here, so I wonder why he starts wearing the mask later on. Maybe they won't explain it, he'll just have the mask on. That'd be hilarious. I thought I recognized your voice back in my office. Came down here on a hunch to make sure you were dead. And he's like, officially, I'm dead. But really, as you see, I'm quite alive. So, they're pretty much just explaining what happened. That when he's trying to capture Cobra, he accidentally shot that vat, and whatever it did to him made it seem like he was dead. And pretty much it made him appear like he was dead, and then he woke up several hours later, and as he put it, he broke out of his grave. It kind of reminds me of the stories of the voodoo powder that they say is made from was it a pufferfish? But it kind of puts them in that state where it seems like they're dead, and they get pronounced dead and buried, and then the zombie maker goes and digs them up and pretty much uses him as a slave. So Denny, he's like, no time for a lot of explaining. I've got work to do. Come on, Dolan. Those two rats will run right to Cobra and warn him. Oh, I get it. A ruse. They'll lead us right to him. You may be dead, but by gosh, you're still a good cop. And that's one thing you'll see in here. It's like, with last week's episode, the Iron Man one, how I said when they're older, there's a lot of, like, redundant expletive. This one's really redundant expletive. Like, they gotta make sure the kids know why he let them go, why he's following them. It's kind of how old people need stuff to them when they watch a movie. They're like, who's he? What's happening? And they can't watch the movie. Maybe that's why, because they grew up reading this. Our scene shifts to the waterfront. A fog rolling in from the sea blankets the night, shrouding in a cloak of gray mist the spirit that leaks under the quays. Which, another word I don't know. Finding out a lot of words reading this. I wonder if it's because these words have fallen out of fashion. So yeah, there's the doctor. So they're like, boss, you gonna get pinched. Guy calls himself the spirit. Head is in a graveyard. He's like, cemetery? So my liquid works. Ha ha. Colt, or the spirit as he calls himself, is living proof. Ha ha ha. And he blows out this candle, which looks kind of weird. And that's the thing, like, the doctor knows what the serum does. He instantly knows it's Colt. And, little spoilers, he chooses to stay the spirit because he can kind of work outside the confines of the law. But people already know who he is, so it's like, does that really work, Colt? I guess legally, you're dead. So he's like, let's get out of here, boss. No, fool, that's just what he wants us to do. We'll wait. Soon their vigil is rewarded. The spirit climbs very slowly down the waterlogged ladder under the dock. He's like, no one here. And then suddenly this guy jumps out and he's kind of like grabbing his throat. It reminds me of the strong hand guy from Scary Movie. And that's the thing I love about really old media. Especially the first Star Trek. I mean, I love the first Star Trek. I love the fighting in there because they didn't know a bunch of martial arts. Like now they've mixed in a bunch of martial arts and acrobatics. Pretty much if you're a woman, you're gonna fight like Black Widow. If you're a dude, you're gonna fight like was it Michael B. Jordan. That's how fighting is in modern movies. But back then they didn't know, so they're trying to make up stuff. They're trying to make stuff work or look cool, and sometimes the people who were making this stuff had no experience at all, even with like basic boxing or wrestling or things they would have been exposed to, and it really shows. I mean, Shatner, once again, is a great example. My favorite thing is when they'd put their hands together like this, and they'd always like on the guy's back, like he would charge them and he'd get them around the waist and they'd on the back, and that somehow knocks him out. So yeah, here this guy strong hands this guy's neck and he flips him over. Which you're waiting to ambush him. That's their best idea. Is you're gonna reach down like my cat and kind of tickle him. He's like, no, that's my Gucci spot. And just throws him. I think that's the only time he solves his problem by not punching the guy. So meanwhile, Dr. Cobra plans a hasty departure. Get those bottles this way. No, we're gonna wait. Try to grab him on the neck. Oh, crap, how could that not work? We gotta get out of here. This guy, Dr. Cobra, is not very smart. So, evening, Dr. Cobra. Remember me? He's like, Colt, the spirit, get him, kill him. And this guy, he jumps at him with a knife. I think that's Skimp. He grabs a knife and then boom, right to the face. Look at that though. Really wide leg stance, just very powerful. Boom. Grabs a knife, spreads his leg out, boom. Like this guy, Will Eisner knew classic boxing. He knew at the time boxing. At least he looked at boxers when he freaking drew this, because that form, I mean, like the legs are a little wide, but it just perfect transition, like the opposite of what I was talking about. I think Will Eisner might have known a thing or two about actual combative sports, at least as a fan. So he's like, where's Dr. Cobra? Oh, there. Relentlessly, the spirit falls Cobra. And he's like, I'll get you, Cobra. You won't get away again. No, he's climbing up the dock, and Cobra's that little dot right there. At a turn, Cobra whirls sharply. So this is his master plan right here. He's like, nimbly, he swings to a ledge over the path. He's like, I am waiting, Mr. Spirit. He's got a knife. So his plan is to kind of just jump down on him with a knife. Kind of didn't work for that other guy, which seems stronger than you, but, you know, we'll see how it works out. And so the spirit comes around the corner. He's like, yeah! Because off camera, bang! And who is it? That's right, it's Denny. Dolan, woo! Thanks, you saved my life that time. That's not much, and spirits have a reputation for being immortal. Another P that looks like a D. The guy's P's really look like D's. Oh, I love this one. Look at him. He looks like a bird right there. Like a cormorant or something. Or an owl. But all kidding aside, what are you planning to do, lad? Remember, dead men remain dead and take up the job of being the spirit. You know, Dolan, there are criminals and crimes beyond reach of the police, but the spirit can reach them. But how about food, money? Where will you live? In the cemetery. As for money, I'll collect the rewards. Oh, we spirits get along fine. By the way, here's my card. So yeah, that's his card, the spirit, address Wildwood Cemetery. That's really the most impressive part of this to me, is that he had these ready so fast. He was like, no, I can't start my plan without these. And like a phantom, the spirit fades into the darkness. That's a pretty cool one right there. But remember, if you step outside the law, I'll arrest you. He's like, if you catch me, goodbye. And so then this guy, I guess that's that cop from earlier. A moment later, an officer pounds up. Oh, Commissioner, I heard a shooting. He's like, yes, take him away. It's Dr. Cobra. I just captured him. Just like, he's like, I'm not lying. You might be able to convince them, but you can't convince your wife with that. So that is the end of the spirit's first appearance. Well, that was a doozy of a story, wasn't it? One thing I love about it is a lot of the tropes we'd come to embrace later on just aren't there. Like stereotypical depictions and whatnot. Even in the issue, like certain depictions of people seem to differ wildly from really atomically accurate to just cartoonishly bad. And not bad as in the drawings were bad, actually. I thought the art was done amazingly. More so, it just looks so removed from what people actually look like, it can't be taken as anything other than a cartoon. The story, I felt, was a little basic, but you know, it's an origin story. All origin stories are like that. This is why, like, a lot of times, especially myself with writing, I hate the first few chapters where you have to introduce the world, the characters, all that, because in my mind I already have that. I want to get to the cool part of the story, but you gotta build up, and sometimes that can be a little boring. This has been quite different, though. I'm actually really excited to see some of the other stories and to see how close they are together, 'cause I'm pretty sure these are just cherry-picked issues. Again, I think my overall favorite thing about the spirit himself is his power. Again, because these are so old, just a lot of stuff wasn't as well defined. Like, his power is literally punching people in the face. Oh, a guy tries to stab him, gonna punch him in the face. Tries to shoot him, punch him in the face. Run him over with a car, he'd probably find a way to punch him in the face. If Chuck Norris could find a way to roundhouse kick that car off of that road and save that town from those drug lords, I'm sure the spirit could figure out how to punch some guy. It's just hilarious, too. Like, everything just swack, it's over. Just a good old left hook to the jaw. I also like these old stories because they're really grounded. Like, Batman used to be a bit more grounded. Honestly, the least believable thing about the spirit is just that he had a bunch of these weird little custom business cards shaped like tombstones ready, like, for when he became the spirit. And he's still, like, hiding around and whatnot, so it's like, he really quickly got those, you know, printed, especially back then. Maybe he went in, it's like, well, this guy, he wanted some that were shaped like toast, but he didn't pay me, so yeah, I could just use these. He's like, oh, that's perfect. It looks just like a tombstone. I think one thing I also tend to forget is when these came out, they were really intended for children. And, You know, sometimes in our modern frame of reference, stuff seems more graphic if it has like smoking or drinking or things that were more mundane back then to put into children's entertainment. But this didn't even have that. It was very cleaned up. I have been waiting a long time to do the Spirit here on the channel. It makes me happy I finally got to do it. Of course, I'm going to go through all these. I'm going to finish the series. If this is one that likewise you have enjoyed, I would love to hear about it, particularly what you enjoyed or what you would like to see more of. And if you didn't like it, and you just want to tell me to screw off, I'd love to hear that too. But seriously, I hope you did really enjoy today's episode. You know, I'm pretty sure if it wasn't for that letter I insisted reading in the beginning, it'd have been a pretty short one too. So, as for the power scaling, could the Spirit beat Captain Planet? And I'm going to say no. I'm pretty sure Captain Planet could take a punch to the face from a normal guy. Maybe if the Spirit died and it tricked Captain Planet into thinking he was dead, he might be able to outsmart him a bit, but I'm pretty sure in most situations the Captain will kick his butt completely. I'm pretty sure to say the Spirit isn't even a superhero. He's not even a Captain Planet type being. There's really not that much separating this guy from a normal police officer, other than he acts outside the confines of the law. So I guess he's a vigilante. Either way, no problem for Captain Planet. Well, until next time, I've been the Watcher. And remember, just like the Spirit, just because they think you're down and out doesn't mean the fight's over. Not until you say it is, kid.